Did Benazir Bhutto give Sikh lists to India? Was there any secret agreement between Benazir Bhutto and Rajiv Gandhi? We are going to tell you about all this. In 1988, the Khalistan movement was in full swing in Indian Punjab. The aim of this movement was to make Indian Punjab a separate Sikh state. On the other hand, the freedom movement in occupied Kashmir was at its peak. Meanwhile, a SARC conference in Islamabad was held in December 1988. On the sidelines of the SARC conference, Benazir Bhutto met Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. It was a closed-door, one-on-one meeting. There was no one except Benazir Bhutto and Rajiv Gandhi in this meeting. And this was Benazir Bhutto's biggest diplomatic mistake. That is because no meeting with the Prime Minister is personal. The Prime Minister, as a representative of the public, in the presence of state employees, tackles all global issues. So that it is named as a certified meeting, publicly known, and part of the record of all state rules, this meeting has no witnesses. Therefore, the creation of rumors and speculation was natural. So no decision taken in this meeting came out directly. But newspapers were defining the direction of the situation. According to Pakistani newspapers, in the meeting, it was agreed to improve Pakistan-India relations. According to Indian newspapers, Pakistan promised to end the support of the Sikh separatist movement if there was any support from Pakistan. In response, Rajiv Gandhi pledged to call back the Indian army from Siachen. This internal story of the meeting, via Benazir Bhutto, Rajiv's friends, came up time and again in Pak Indian newspapers. Rajiv Gandhi or Benazir Bhutto himself never confirmed these news, but the events that followed were something like this. When Rajiv Gandhi went back to India, sometime later, Interior Minister Aitzaz Ahsan went on to visit India. When he returned, the Sikhs' arrests and killings started in India. At this stage, it was an impression that Aitzaz Ahsan had given a list of Sikh separatists to India. Meanwhile, a confession by Indian Interior Minister Bhutto was published in Pakistani newspapers, which strengthened the impression of ending support for Sikh separatists. He accused Pakistan of training Kashmiris but also acknowledged that Pakistan kept its promise to disassociate itself from the Khalistan movement. Sikhs who left India. What they say, which there is no doubt that Benazir Bhutto played such a role in this period that it damaged the Khalistan movement. After meeting at the SARC conference many times, such news appeared in newspapers, in which Pakistan asked the Indian Prime Minister to call back Indian troops from Siachen, but Rajiv Gandhi and Indian diplomats refused any such promises. A few months after the meeting, Rajiv Gandhi came to Pakistan in July 1989. According to the Times of India, Benazir Bhutto complained about not fulfilling the Siachen promise. The Indian Prime Minister said that the Indian military establishment was not ready to leave Siachen. However, after the elections, he will be able to fulfill his promise. But after the 1989 Indian elections, Rajiv Gandhi could not become Prime Minister. And this promise remained a promise. This story of the Khalistan movement repeats itself even today. This allegation pursues the PPP like a Stinger missile. About this charge, the Interior Minister of the time, Aitzaz Ahsan, offers some explanation. If I have given Sikhs lists, I've been saying it again, I would have been hanged. Any civilian, how can he get any of the ISI lists? Number 1, and he gave it to India as well. So many army chiefs and so many DGs from ISI came, and I am saying again and again, do my trial. General Hamid Gul, who was removed from the post of DG ISI by Benazir Bhutto and considered the ideological opponent of the PPP, also denied the existence of such lists. See also what he says. After the Sikh massacre in Delhi and the murder of Indira Gandhi, some 6,500 Sikhs came to Pakistan. Those days, the border was somewhat open, there was no hard boundary. So we located them in the jails. Then a list of some 1,100 Sikhs was given to the Ministry of Interior. That was just a list of those Sikhs, they were not our agents. But they started killing them later. And you know there is a problem, Pakistan always does strange things. And you would have heard that famous phrase from Benazir. If I did not help India, then the Khalistan movement could never end. Pakistan's distinguished journalist Oif Nizami tells about a meeting where he asked the ISI chief in the presence of Army Chief General Wahid Kakar. General Wahid was Army Chief, and he called some editors and owners in a high-level briefing like lunch. He also had the head of his ISI. Whose name am I missing now? So I asked the ISI chief whether there was any validity to this charge. Because often it is blamed on Aitzaz arson. He said there were no such lists that were handed over. So it's also disinformation. In Pakistan History episodes 14 and 15, we have shown you an interesting story of the PPP and IJI's electoral fights, in which you had seen that both parties converted it into a fight of Islam and Kufr. Today, we show you how this fight continued even after the election. When Benazir Bhutto was Prime Minister, he felt pressure from rightists to promulgate Islamic law. Nawaz Sharif was Chief Minister in Punjab to make Benazir Bhutto politically uncomfortable. He announced Islamic laws in Punjab in May 1989. Steps were taken for compulsory Nazara Quran, free education for Hafaz, and Qiyam-e-Salah. According to Nawaz Sharif, he was doing all this for the betterment of society, so that the state should not be misled into secularism. In 1990, Pakistan's Sparko sent its first satellite, Beta-1, into space, which was the first satellite of any Islamic country. Beta-1 has the ability to revolve around the Earth every 98 minutes. In those days, the birth of a test tube baby in Multan was also the headline of the newspaper. And it was considered a great success in the medical history of Pakistan. The missile and nuclear programs also stepped forward in this period. It is also a fact that Benazir Bhutto and Nawaz Sharif strongly condemn each other. But on the nuclear and missile programs, they were on the same page. The Pakistani army and politicians kept the nuclear and missile programs rolling. All this was happening when ulama started issuing fatwas against the rule of women. On the other side, Benazir's husband Asif Zardari's corruption stories were in the air. He was accused of kickbacks in governmental projects and named Mr. 10%. Despite all this political turmoil, the PPP government was still there. And then a tragedy happened. This tragedy proved to be the last mistake of the PPP government. What was the last mistake? What news was coming from Sindh due to which people stopped buying newspapers? And what was the operation of history that is remembered as the Midnight Jackal? All this will be in the next episode. Subscribe to the channel to get all the updates. And also, click on the bell icon so that you can get updates in time.